Hey everyone, it's Madison from Page Doodling. Welcome to my channel. I'm so excited today to share with you my new bullet journal setup. The journal I picked to use for the rest of this year is this cute little dog notebook from my favorite shop, Archer and Olive. This little dog reminded me of my sweet puppy Gus, so I thought it was perfect for the rest of the year. If you are interested in making a purchase from Archer and Olive, you can find a coupon code down in the description box of this video. So let's go ahead and get started. So during this video, I'm going to be setting up the spreads that are at the beginning of my notebook that I reference throughout the year. So a future log, a brain dump, places for other future dates, and a few other spreads. But before we get started, first things first, you've got to write your name in the beginning of your notebook. This is always a really traumatizing part for me because you can't really undo it, but I was pretty happy with how it turned out. I always find this to be the most intimidating part, but once I had that done, I was ready to get going. So the theme that I picked for this setup was kind of a desk bulletin board theme. I had seen a lot of people do this, and I've always thought it looked really cute and so much fun, and I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect for my bullet journal setup because it's simple and I needed something fairly quick. Because if you follow me on Instagram, which you should, you can find me under @pagedoodling21. I shared with you guys that I was getting ready to start my July spreads, and I went to go open my notebook and I was like, oh my goodness, this journal is full. I have to start a new one, which means I also have to do my setup. So I kind of needed something that was really quick and easy that could be done fairly quickly, because I had to do this video and also my July plan with me pretty much all in one weekend. So this is a great theme, especially for a beginner, because you can really make it however you want. I did this easy grid spacing on the back, and then I just added a few little sticky notes where I wrote the date, did a cute doodling, and I added a few leaves on there just to kind of make it aesthetically pleasing. Once I had that sketched out, I outlined it with my black mild liner, and then I went in with my Tombow markers and added some color. I did a very neutral palette to kind of match the light tan color of my notebook, and I added a few teals and greens in there just to add a little bit of color. I was so pleased with how the spread turned out. I tried not to add too much on it to make it too overwhelming, because that's always my caveat, is I add too many details, but I did decide to add a little bit of washi tape to add that on there. That was actually one of my personal goals this year, was to incorporate more washi tape into my journal spreads and my setups, just because I have so many colors and so many fun tapes and I want to use them. So that's kind of my introductory page. It's really not used for anything except for aesthetics. I like to have a fun page at the beginning of every journal. Now we're moving on to the more functional spreads. This first one is my future log, and so this provides a space for me to write dates that are in the future, because if you're a bullet journalist, you know that we do not have the entire journal set up at the beginning of the year, obviously, as I'm setting this up in the middle of June. But we need to have a space to put those dates, so when we do set up those spreads, we know what dates we need to add. So this is a place for the rest of the year for me to add those dates, July through December, so then I can put events and important things down here so that I can migrate them to my calendar when I do my actual setup. So that was really quick and easy. Now moving on to my next spread, is this place is kind of for brain dump and also future dates. So I did decide to make a whole page for dates of 2023, because there are a few events that I am going to be attending, and other things like appointments that I make when I go to the doctor, like my next dentist appointment and things like that. So I like to have a central location to put all those. So I decided to make each one of these their own page. And then next to that I have the brain dump, which is really more just like a space for random notes, ideas, thoughts, anything that I think I need to remember that is important. I know that I can put that there, as it's kind of like a safe space, instead of on just like a random sticky note where it might get lost. And again, I added that wonderful easy grid in the background. Love it, because it really just like fills up the page without doing a lot of work. And then made a few of those like sticky notes to add spaces for me to write in. I thought this was very fun, and I'm definitely not the first person to do this. Like I said, I've always seen other people do it, and so I kind of tried to do a variation on the theme to make it my own, and I was very happy with how it turned out. I used to have more like boxes for notes and goals and things like that in other journals, but I really just don't use them. And so I decided not to include them. So that's my biggest thing with the setup when you're starting a new journal or just starting bullet journaling in general. Really just start minimally, and you can always add or subtract. I see a lot of people who do like all these elaborate journal setups with all of these pages, and I'm just like, that's great for you, but I just don't use them. So I don't waste my time setting them up. Only do what you need. So now moving on to one of my favorite things about my new journal setup. I like to swatch all of my Tombow markers so that I have like a reference to look at when I'm picking colors. I just find this really helps me move the color picking process along, because that's always where I get stalled at, is picking my color palettes, because I always want to include way too many colors. So this is a good place for me to be able to see what the colors actually look like on this art journal of paper. So I did a lovely header there at the top, and I'm trying something new this year. Before I just did the swatches on the journal, but I am going to actually make little pieces of paper that have the swatches on them with these little pockets so that I can actually remove them out and then take them to the journal spread that I'm working on, and just have them be a little bit more functional instead of me having to like flip through my journal when I need to look at them. This will also help me because when I set up my next bullet journal, I can literally just take these little slips out that have the swatches on them and just move it to my next spread. Because I've set up, this is now my 4th journal that I've done my Tombow swatches in, it gets a little tedious to swatch all the colors. So unless they get damaged or something like that, then I can reuse the same ones over and over again, and then I don't have to take so much time swatching them. I do love looking at all the colors, and there are some colors I don't use as frequently, so it is fun to do, but I'm kind of over it now, and I have more things I would rather take my artistic time on than swatching my colors. So I was very excited to make these little pockets. I just cut out some craft paper, folded them over the size of the swatch pages that I made, and then they slide right in there. I was so happy with how they turned out, and very excited to be able to just continue to reuse these in future journal setups. So it's really fun, and I highly suggest this if you doing a swatch page with any of your markers that you have, because it can be really, really helpful. That brings us to the last few pages of my setup, which is actually used to plan my content for this channel. So I have decided to incorporate this planning page, which has a space for the theme and colors of each month, and then a checklist for all the things that I have to do to complete the things I need for my journal every month, and then a schedule to plan my content posting out. And so I found this to be helpful. I've been doing this past couple of months, but I decided to make official pages at the beginning of my notebook to have them all in one place. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. This is something very specific to me that is going to really help me be successful this year. So let's go ahead and take a final flip through of this journal setup. I know this was quick, but I was super happy with how it turned out. The color palette was perfect, and of course I had to match it to the journal because why not? I hope my setup has inspired you or given you some good ideas for your own bullet journal. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I think my favorite spread for me is my swatch page here. I'm super happy with my removable pages, and I think it's going to be super, super useful. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you to each and every one of you for watching, and happy doodling!